Hi, I'm Colleen Pearl, the Cool Crone, and welcome back to my channel. I will be your astrologer today for the video entitled Astrology for 2023. If you would like an annual astrological reading with me, please go to my website, thecoolcrone.com, and click on the Services tab. That will tell you all about every service that I offer. Then click on Book Now to make your appointment. If you prefer to deal with email me at coolcrone444.com and I'll set you right up. All right, let's get on now with the astrology for 2023. 2023 is a significant year astrologically and for the whole world. During 2023, we will experience three major planets changing signs: Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. On March 7th, Saturn will move into Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and Saturn is the teacher and taskmaster. But in the sign of Pisces, it gets a huge dose of compassion. Saturn in Pisces will give us ways to work on our dreams, fantasies, spirituality, healing, and imagination in a concrete way. You may find artists working with more Saturnine materials, like metals such as lead and steel, dark woods, hard materials, those usually more associated with architecture and appliances rather than fantasy and spirituality. You will also see and hear people building organizations, platforms, and designs that are very practical, yet based upon their own vision, imagination, dreams, fantasies, and spiritual beliefs. On March 7th, Saturn will move into Pisces. This will initiate an era where we will reflect upon the lessons we've learned during the pandemic. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and Saturn is the teacher and taskmaster. But in Pisces, it gets a huge dose of compassion to soften up this tough teacher. Saturn in Pisces will give us ways to work with our dreams, fantasies, spirituality, healing, and imagination in a concrete way. You may find artists working with more Saturnine materials, metals such as steel and lead, dark woods, hard materials, materials more often associated with architecture and appliances rather than fantasies and spiritual beliefs. You'll also see and hear people building organizations, platforms, and designs that are very practical, yet based upon their own vision, imagination, dreams, fantasies, and spiritual beliefs. In 2020, Saturn first dipped into Aquarius when it began its dance with Uranus, and the square they formed over and over again until October 2022. This square, which is a 90-degree angle, highlighted the strain and struggle between progressive, forward-thinking people and those who wanted to keep things the same. Saturn represents what we must accept, whether we like it or not. It is burdens, responsibilities, and constraints. These can be imposed by people, authorities, or just plain circumstances. Now, Uranus represents our need for freedom, independence, and the future. So we have had a clash between those who lean into the future and those who love the past. Saturn is what we have acquired. Uranus is what we can change. On March 7th, 2023, when Saturn changes signs, it will change the relationship with Uranus to one that is much more harmonious. When Saturn goes into Pisces, it's going to stay there for about 2.5 years. The square that has plagued us since 2020 becomes a light and harmonious sextile, or 60 degrees, like two signs. Also, during the initial stages of the sextile, the North Node will be close to Uranus, motivating us to move toward what we really want. Changes that you may really want become very possible in a very concrete manner through Saturn. Initial changes with Uranus will come to fruition easier if you can execute necessary actions through Saturn. As Saturn moves deeper and deeper into the sign of Pisces, More and more opportunities for growth and change will present themselves. Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter represents opportunities, and Jupiter will transit Taurus from May 17th for about 12 months. When Jupiter joins Uranus in May of 2023, it gets involved with the sextile and Saturn. Jupiter is evolution, progress, and success. So this is what the changes, which is Uranus, will offer us. Jupiter will emphasize our choices and help us gain what we want. There's great potential for lots of us to succeed, and this aspect will be in effect until August of 2023. Jupiter will station retrograde on September 3rd and remain in its backward motion until the very end of the year, but it will not leave the sign of Taurus. Jupiter will station direct on December 30th at 5 degrees Taurus, 34 minutes. This means that opportunities that were going full steam in June, July, and August may slow down to glacial speeds in September, then pick back up again in 2024. Neptune in Pisces. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012. Neptune takes about 165 years to get all the way around the zodiac. Neptune is very strong in Pisces because it's in the sign of its natural rulership. Neptune has influence over our spiritual life, the formation of our dreams, even those that are far-fetched. Unfortunately, for all of us, these dreams have been prevented from coming to fruition. But in 2023, when Saturn joins Neptune in the sign of Pisces, these dreams may very well blossom. Saturn is reality. It does not waste time with wishing or dreams. Now, Neptune is going to feel much more comfortable for you as you realize that now your dreams will come true. Saturn will give you the potential to actually create these dreams when it goes into Pisces and joins Neptune. Also, your intuition and inspiration will be enhanced by Saturn and Jupiter as soon as Jupiter is in Taurus, which is in mid-May. Jupiter will not just influence the changes that Uranus brings, but it will also greatly enhance your dreams and inspiration. Jupiter brings beneficial influence to both Saturn and Neptune. This helps all three of these planets work together harmoniously. Pluto in Aquarius. In 2008, Pluto entered Capricorn. This is when the world went into a global depression. Pluto is going to move into Aquarius on March 23rd, 2023. This is the first time that Pluto has been in Aquarius since 1775. Yes, that's right. The year before the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which was during the battle for our independence against Britain. Aquarius is the sign of the people, society, the world, humanity, inventions, technology, and innovations. Actually, anything that is unexpected and unique in any way. We will still be experiencing a large part of the year under Pluto in Capricorn, and it will always be hovering near the degree of the USA's natal Pluto, even when it gets into Aquarius in March. So things are not going to be smooth sailing on March 23rd. In June, Pluto will retrograde back to Capricorn for the rest of the year, only coming forward into Aquarius in January of 2024. When Pluto returns to Capricorn in June for this final visit, it will say, get ready for a complete regeneration of your society. When Pluto changes signs on January 22nd, 2024, it will be staying firmly in Aquarius for almost 20 years. Pluto in Aquarius will have a profound effect on the world, on society at large, and humanity. Pluto represents transformation and regeneration. Pluto is death and sacrifice. So something must end so that something new can be reborn. Something significant must finish or complete before Pluto will allow our society to be transformed. What we do, what we are used to, all of this must be transformed. Since many people will resist this change, it will be painful for them, yet it is still necessary. Pluto in Aquarius will square Uranus in Taurus and Jupiter during 2023. When Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn, this will ease up. But the impending square for Pluto-Uranus will be felt in the period between March 23rd and June 12th. Around June 12th is when Pluto will return to Capricorn. This square with Uranus will be very, very wide, so that the impact will not be felt so much. Nevertheless, we will feel it. In 2011, we also had a square between Pluto and Uranus, and it brought some very difficult weather. Here's a list. On the east coast of the United States, we were hit with Hurricane Irene. Also on the east coast of the United States, or the northeast portion of the United States, we had Snowtober, where we got dumped with heavy, wet snow. I think my back still remembers that one. We had tornadoes across the Midwest and the southeast portions of the US. We had drought from Arizona to Louisiana. We had wildfires in many of those same states, which were affected by the droughts. We had droughts across the world in East Africa, Mexico, and Europe. We had flooding in Thailand and Australia. And we had flash floods in Brazil. And finally, in Japan, we had the 4th largest ever recorded earthquake, causing a tsunami, which led to the Fukushima nuclear disaster. So that was all a very tight square with Pluto and Uranus. The square that we're going to have is not nearly so tight, so it will not be nearly as severe. So we still have to be aware that until November 24, there will be costly, dangerous weather events, and probably beyond that date too. But anyway, the events that are racked up to the Pluto-Uranus square, we just have to be prepared for it. And in terms of human lives and loss of property, what we will experience in 2023 will be much less than what we experienced in 2011. Suffice it to say that Pluto transits do not just pass by. They always make a dramatic, intense impact, no matter what. March 2023 will be the month when everything changes. By March of 23, the effects and responses to our 2022 midterm elections will have calmed down. There will still be lawsuits pending, but people will have taken office and begun the business of governing. March 2023 will be marked, however, by a return to freedom and anticipation of good things to come. You will feel as if you've been released from bondage, which will be the end of the Saturn square Uranus, as well as anticipating new successes, which will be the Jupiter conjuncting Uranus in Taurus. All of this will be the result of Saturn and Pluto changing signs during the month of March, which is making all of those other aspects possible. So that's the picture of the slower moving planets, including Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn and Jupiter are still considered personal planets, but they do move slowly in comparison to the planets that are between us and the sun. So let's look at those planets. First up is Mercury, and we always want to look at the Mercury retrogrades for the year so that we can be prepared. There will be 4 Mercury retrograde periods in 2023. Mercury will station retrograde 3 times in 2023 because we begin the year with Mercury already retrograde from December of 22. So if you're watching this in December 2022, please revise your New Year's Eve plans to not include things that depend on transportation and technology, because it will most likely get very screwed up. Mercury will also end the year of 2023 in retrograde, only going direct on January 1st of 2024. So let's look at the 4 Mercury retrogrades in order. Retrograde number 1 will commence on December 29th in the sign of Capricorn, 24 degrees, 21 minutes. I will be doing a whole Mercury retrograde in the Earth signs video series for you as soon as I'm able. And in the meantime, you can watch my How to Handle Mercury Retrograde video, which will be linked at the end of this video and probably also in the description box. Suffice it to say that you will still have to do the normal prep for a Mercury retrograde period. Back up your computer. Don't schedule anything once the Mercury retrograde starts. Don't buy any small appliances. Don't sign any contracts. Just go with the flow and expect that many scheduled plans will be canceled, postponed, late, or held at alternative locations or by alternative means. Remember that Mercury retrograde is a great time to reflect, review, repair, and recharge. Take a step back from the world and concentrate on things that haven't been finished or that you had to drop during the busier times of the year. Retrograde number 2. This one takes place in Taurus, so it will affect your life wherever you have Taurus in your chart, but it will definitely show up surrounding things that are concerning nature, beauty, stubbornness, and material wealth. So keep an eye on your pocketbook and your phone. Retrograde number 3, August 23rd, 2023. Now, this retrograde will be in Virgo, so it may seem a little less chaotic and more business as usual, but that could be because I have Mercury retrograde in my natal chart. I just don't find these retrogrades to be that bad until the very, very end. And Mercury retrograde number 4 commences December 13th, 2023. Mercury will station at 25 degrees Capricorn, 8 minutes, which is the same degree as when it stationed direct in January of 2023. Capricorn represents plans, goals, and ambitions. Mercury is all about planning, logistics, communications, and technology. So the last retrograde of the year is going to echo or bring up issues that were highlighted in January. Mars in Gemini. Now, Mars entered Gemini in August of 2022, stationing retrograde near the end of October 2022. He will remain retrograde until January 12th of 2023. The big news and the big impact here is that Mars will be in the sign of Gemini for about 7 months, which is very unusual. He will continue in Gemini until March, when he will move into Cancer on the 25th. While Mars is in Gemini and Pluto is in Aquarius, it can be very positive, but Mars is not harmonious with Saturn and Neptune until March 25th. So we only have a few days of that. So what I'd like you to do is, starting on the new moon in Aries on March 21st, which is the spring equinox, you want to start focusing on your wish list because that's the time to manifest like crazy. Now, Mars will still enhance the potential to help us get what we want in the sign of Cancer. Be sure to concentrate on what you need to do to get what you want, because Saturn will force you to take what is given to you according to whatever actions or work you do. If you do the work that Saturn demands, you'll get the gift from Saturn. On July 20th, Mars will oppose Saturn. Tip: this is not the time to try to manifest. Venus and Leo. In addition to Mars spending longer than usual in the sign of Gemini, we'll also experience Venus spending longer than usual in the sign of Leo, which I love because I have Venus in Leo. Venus in Leo is all about things that are grand and make you feel beautiful, loved, and successful. But rather than making any grand gestures themselves towards the object of their affection, Venus and Leo natives might write a poem or compose a song for them. They will still expect a grand gesture in return, but they will definitely acknowledge the act. People with Venus and Leo love attention and love to feel like they're the best looking person in the room. They definitely put more effort than most into their personal appearance, and if they're not feeling their best, they're just not leaving the house. One problem with Venus and Leo is that the whole of their relationships may feel scripted, as if they're playing a part in a romantic movie rather than participating in real life with a real person. A bit of superficiality here, which can wear thin as the years go on. If the Venus and Leo native can get over this movie-making stage in their approach to relationships, they can be loyal, tender, caring partners with a flair for the dramatic, compassionate gesture, which gets all that theatricality out of their system. Now, Venus will go retrograde on July 22nd. When Venus retrogrades, we find that it affects our emotions, love, relationships, and money for quite a long time. When Venus goes retrograde, relationship and money issues get muddled. Vague ideas emerge, and you are held up in these areas. But you can benefit from this retrograde phase, where the minute details you had missed earlier can be detected and rectified as the delays happen. There are also limitations in your financial resources and your ability to gain more material possessions, so that your greediness would also be stalled or halted. So these are some positive things for Venus retrograde. And the most personal planet of all, the moon. Now, I'm not going to talk about each full and new moon. I'm going to save that for my astrology videos for 2023, but I am going to tell you a little bit about the eclipses. On July 17th, the nodes will move from Taurus Scorpio to Aries Libra. Now, due to the shift in the node signs, the signs in which our eclipses happens will also change. We're now shifting over to the Aries Libra axis, but we will still have 2 of our eclipses in the Taurus Scorpio axis this year. Let's look at the 4 eclipses that we will have during 2023. The first one will be a solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries. Number 2 is a lunar eclipse at 14 degrees of Scorpio. Number 3 is a solar eclipse at 21 degrees Libra. And number 4 is a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus. Of course, I will be doing videos about each of these eclipses, but with the change in the nodal axis, be prepared that the April 20th eclipse will have people jolted out of their seats. 29 degrees of any sign is the anaretic degree, meaning it is the fullest expression of the sign. A solar eclipse, which is fire, in Aries, which is the first fire sign, at 29 degrees will be super powerful. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. The May 5th lunar eclipse may remind people of the issues raised and the area of life affected on the April 30th eclipse in 2022. And the October 28th lunar eclipse may remind people of the eclipse on our election day, November 8th, 2022. So this is the 2023 overview for the planets, nodes, sun, and the moon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please give me a thumbs up and comment so that I know you're out there and I'm not crazy for just talking to myself in this room for 25 minutes. And please be sure to watch my videos about the upcoming Mercury retrogrades in Earth signs as well. I will be doing 2023 tarot scopes for all 12 signs, giving you far-reaching predictions for the entire year that you won't want to miss. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.